Hello everyone, here is Radovan from BSS. In this video we will set up Windows 10 desktop and we will join this desktop to our Active Directory domain. First thing, before we will actually set up this Windows 10 desktop as member of Active Directory domain, we will set up networking, we will set hostname, and we will allow remote connection to this desktop. Networking will be from our testing network, and testing network in our test lab for our testing purposes is 192.168.199. So this desktop will have IP address from this network, which will be 192.168.199.158. From these network settings, the most important setting is a preferred DNS server, which must be DNS server of our Active Directory domain. If the DNS server will not be from our Active Directory domain, it will not work. In our case, preferred DNS server is the same server as our Active Directory domain controller. So our preferred DNS server will be TST-ADDC1 server, which IP address is 192.168.199.54. Then we will set hostname to TST-Win01, and then we will allow remote connection to this desktop. So after networking, hostname and remote connection settings will be done, we will join TST-Win01 desktop to domain tstdom01.local, so this desktop will be member of Active Directory domain. Then we will add all three testing Active Directory users, TST user 01, TST user 02 and TST user 03, to remote desktop users group on Active Directory domain controller TST-ADDC1. So we have to log into TST-ADDC1 Active Directory domain controller, and on that controller we have to add these three users to remote desktop users group. Then we will have to select these three users, TST user 01, TST user 02 and TST user 03 on TST-Win01 desktop, so we need to select them on actually desktop and allow remote connection for these users on that desktop. Then to prove that this TST-Win01 Windows 10 desktop is a member of Active Directory domain and that things works correctly, we will access that TST-Win01 desktop with all of three our Active Directory users locally, and then we will access this TST-Win01 desktop with all of these three users remotely. And access, I mean that we will log into this desktop with our three Active Directory users using password which was set on our Active Directory domain controller, and this will prove that our Active Directory domain was set up very correctly, and we can continue to our next videos about Linux integration to Active Directory domain. So please check links in video description where you will find all other links to all other videos, which is Active Directory setup, installation of Active Directory domain services and setup of Active Directory, and installation and setup of identity management for Unix identity management on Windows server, and you will find there also links to videos to actual integration of Linux servers to Active Directory domain. But even if you are not interested in it, integration of active Linux servers to Active Directory domain, you can still watch this video if you are only interested in how to add Windows desktop to Windows Active Directory domain. So I'm back now on our Windows desktop. This is Windows 10 testing desktop. We wanna join this desktop to our Active Directory tst-dom01.local domain, and then log in to this desktop with our 3 testing users to prove that our domain is set up correctly and it's ready for integration of our Linux servers and Samba shares. So first, before we will join this Windows desktop to domain, we have to set some very basic network and hostname and remote control settings, because now we are logging from vSphere console, which I don't like. So let's go set our network first, and so let's go to control panel, network and sharing center, change adapter settings, right click on our network device properties, select internet protocol version 4 properties, set very quickly our IP address, which is 192.168.199. and it will be 158, and default subnet mask, and our default gateway 192.168.199.1. And now this is very important here, that our DNS server must be set to DNS server of our Active Directory domain tst-dom01.local, and DNS server is in our case also Active Directory server. Is it installed on one machine, which is tstaddc1, and which IP address is 192.168.199.54. and this is very important, that we have to have set DNS server to DNS server of our Active Directory domain, otherwise this will don't work. And close. And now we need to change our host name, so let's go back to control panel and to system and change settings, for example from here, computer name, and change, and let's set our name to tst-win01. Now you can see in section member of that we are not part of any domain, and we will do that when we will come back here. But first we want to have our IP and host name and remote settings set. So close, and before we will restart our machine, we go to remote settings and do allow remote connection to this computer, and we doesn't want allow connections only from computers running remote desktop with network authentication level, because my Remina client, remote desktop client on my Fedora Linux, doesn't have to meet these requirements. So now after reboot we will have computer name tst-win01, our host name and our IP address and DNS server and remote settings. Everything should be set to be ready to join to domain. So reboot this desktop quickly, and I will see you after reboot shutdown. /reboot/time 0 and enter, and see you soon from Remina remote desktop client on this the same testing Windows desktop, and we will join domain from here. Here we are back again on our testing Windows desktop TST Win01 desktop, which we want to join to Active Directory domain tst dom01.local, which is our Active Directory testing domain, and we are going to prove that our Active Directory testing domain was set up correctly. So let's go quickly to Control Panel and System, and we can join domain from here, computer name, domain and working settings, change settings, or from advanced system settings, which is on the left side. So let's go to advanced system settings and go to tab computer name, and let's go to change, and here is the section member of, and we need to be member of domain tst dom01.local, and this hostname will be translated to IP address because of our DNS server. This is why our DNS server must be set to DNS server of our Active Directory domain. So let's now set user which actually has enough privileges to join domain, which is administrator, and password. And hopefully we will join domain now, and look at that, welcome to the TST domain 01.local domain, which is cool. So we are now in domain, and next step is that we have to log in to this desktop with our testing users. So let's go for restart. Before our Active Directory users, TST user 01, TST user 02 and 03 will be able to log in remotely to our testing desktop, which is member of domain tst dom01.local. They need to be member of Active Directory group remote desktop users. So let's go quickly add them. Click Start, Administrative Tools, Active Directory Users and Computers. Right click on our first user, TST user 01, select Properties, tab Member of, Add, Advanced, Keyword, Remote. Find Now, Remote Desktop Users, OK, Apply, OK, and let's do that quickly for other two users. Right click Properties, Member of, Add, Advanced, Keyword Remote. Find Now, Remote Desktop Users, OK, Apply, OK. Let's quickly double check this. OK, remote desktop users, great. And third user, Properties, Member of, Add, Advanced, Remote, Keyword. Find Now, Remote Desktop Users, OK, Apply, Okay, so now all of our three Active Directory users, TST user 01, 02 and 03, are member of remote desktop users group, Active Directory group, and they should be able to log in remotely to our Windows testing desktop, which is member of TST DOM 101.local Active Directory domain. So let's try it in our next video. I am back in testing Windows desktop TST Win01. This desktop is member of Active Directory domain TST DOM 01.local, and in order to log into this desktop remotely with our three Active Directory testing users, TST user 01, 02 and 03, we need to allow remote access to these three users. Now we are logging as local user, log user 01, which is local user, but we need to allow access, remote access for our three Active Directory users. So let's go to Control Panel, System, Remote Settings. Now select Users, Add, Advanced. Now we need a user account on Active Directory server TST ADDC1, which is allowed to add these users. So administrator and password. And keyword TST user, find now, and we have our all three users here. So let's select them. Okay, 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 and now our users should be able to log in remotely to TST Win01 testing server, which is member of our Active Directory domain. And in next videos we will try to log in to this testing Windows server as well as remotely, but also locally, just to prove that our setup is okay. Now we are logging to TST Win01 desktop from our vSphere client. vSphere client, it's something like we are logging locally to this testing desktop. So it's a VMware console which we can log into any virtual machine, which is in our case desktop TST Windows Win01. So now we are something like if we sitting just behind our desktop. Alright, so let's go try our Active Directory users. So TST user 01 and password. And now look here, we are signed to TST DOM01, so we are in our domain because we joined domain. And now we're going to log in with user TST user 01, which is authenticated against TST ADDC1, which is our domain controller. So let's try it. Okay, yes, another user will be kicked off, and we waiting for response of our domain controller. We all right? So now we are logging as our Active Directory user TST user 01. So let's try another user. Let's switch user, and let's try TST user 02. So we are again in our tst-dom01.local Active Directory domain, and we will log in, and here we are login bug again. So let's try our last testing user. Which is tst user 3, tst user 03. And we are authenticating again against tst-addc1 domain controller. And here we are. So we can see that this concept is working. We are now test user 3, which is Active Directory domain user. Very good. So last thing to prove that this is working perfectly will be to log in remotely to this desktop. Now we will connect to tst-win01 desktop, which is a member of tst-dom01.local Active Directory domain, using our test Active Directory users. So tst user 01 and domain tst-dom01.local. So we are connected now to tst-win01 with our testing user, testing Active Directory user tst user 01. Let's try our second user, tst user 02. And domain tst-dom01.local. Okay, so our second testing user, tst user 02, works as well. So let's try our third user, tst user 03. And domain tst-dom01.local. And this works as well. So all of our Active Directory users, tst user 01, tst user 03, and tst user 02, all of them, they are able to log in to test Windows desktop tst-win 01, which is member of Active Directory domain tst-dom01.local. They are able to log in remotely and locally, all of them. And tst-win 01 is member of Active Directory domain, which means that our Active Directory domain is set up very successfully, and it's ready to join, it's ready to integrate Linux servers and Linux Samba shares. So see you in next session, which will be related to Linux servers and Samba shares and their integration to Active Directory domain. Thanks for watching, guys. Please leave questions and comments below, like my video and subscribe. Thanks for watching.